In the late 1980s, when the streets of Kingston pulsed with rhythms and the speakers at every dancehall session carried the voice of the next ghetto superstar, one name began to rise above them all: Shabba Ranks. Born Rexton Fernando Gordon on January 17, 1966 in Sturgetown, St. and Jamaica, Shabba grew up in poverty, surrounded by struggle, but fueled by ambition. He wasn't born into fame. He built it with grit, charisma, and the kind of confidence that made people stop and listen. From an early age, he admired local sound systems. Those massive street parties where DJs toasted over reggae beats, and he dreamed of one day being the man behind the microphone. When he began performing in Kingston's dancehall circuit, his voice was deep, his tone commanding, and his delivery unapologetically Jamaican. He was not trying to sound like anyone else. He wanted the world to adapt to his voice. With his raspy, unmistakable growl and swaggering personality, he represented the raw, unfiltered heart of Jamaica's youth. His lyrics were bold and often controversial, celebrating women, toughness, and street survival. At a time when reggae dominated the global scene with the conscious, peaceful messages of Bob Marley, Shabba's dancehall style was something different, more aggressive, more sensual, more immediate. It was the sound of a new generation that wasn't afraid to talk about sex, fashion, pride, and street life. By the mid-1980s, he was already a household name in Jamaica, dropping hits like Love Punani Bad and Needle I Punani. His partnership with producers such as Bobby Digital and Gussie Clarke shaped his sound, and his popularity began crossing oceans. What made Shabba unique wasn't only his lyrics or delivery, but his ability to mix Jamaican patois with rhythms that connected easily with American R&B and hip-hop audiences. By 1989, Shabba Ranks had broken through the boundaries that held back so many Jamaican artists. He signed with Epic Records, one of the biggest international labels, and suddenly the ghetto DJ from Saint, and was performing on the same platforms as international superstars. His breakthrough hit, Trailer Load A Girls, became an anthem, followed by Wicked in a Bed and Dem Bow, the latter destined to become one of the most influential tracks in music history. That hypnotic Dem Bow rhythm would later inspire the birth of reggaeton, making Shabba a silent architect of an entire Latin genre decades before the world realized it. But his global fame reached its true peak with Mr. Loverman, a seductive crossover hit featuring Chevelle Franklin, which dominated radio and television in the early 1990s. The song introduced millions of listeners to dancehall's sensual energy, while Shabba's image, dark sunglasses, gold chains, broad smile, and muscular confidence, made him one of the first Jamaican artists to embody a new type of global masculinity. He proudly called himself the Emperor. Between 1991 and 1992, he did what no other dancehall artist had done before: won 2 consecutive Grammy Awards for Best Reggae Album, with as raw as ever and extra naked. It was a landmark moment for Jamaican music. Shabba wasn't just winning trophies. He was opening the door for artists like Beanie Man, Sean Paul, and Shaggy to follow years later. The world loved him. He appeared on American talk shows, collaborated with U.S. rappers, and performed at major award ceremonies. In interviews, he spoke proudly in patois, refusing to dilute his culture to fit the industry's expectations. For many Jamaicans abroad, Shabba was more than a star. He was representation, proof that a man from the ghetto could reach the top without changing who he was. But fame is a fragile crown, and for Shabba Ranks, the same honesty and confidence that fueled his rise would soon spark one of the biggest controversies in dancehall history. It happened in the early 1990s during a BBC television appearance in the United Kingdom. At the height of his international success, the host, aware of the growing debates around violent or homophobic lyrics in dancehall, questioned Shabba Ranks about his views on homosexuality and religion. In that tense moment, Shabba spoke from his faith rather than public diplomacy, declaring that, according to the Bible, homosexual acts were wrong and those who practiced them should face punishment. He likely didn't realize how explosive his words would sound on an international stage. In Jamaica, such sentiments were not unusual in dancehall culture. Many artists expressed similar views, and audiences often responded without outrage. But in Britain, where LGBTQ+ activism was strong and homophobia was fiercely condemned, his comment ignited instant fury. The next morning, newspapers ran bold headlines calling him the homophobic star, and television stations replayed his statement with condemnation. Activists demanded boycotts, radio stations refused to play his songs, and concert organizers pulled out of events featuring his name. His label, Sony/Epic Records, which had invested heavily in his crossover success, went into crisis mode, issuing statements to distance itself from him. Shabba's management tried to repair the damage, but the momentum of outrage was unstoppable. Within weeks, promoters canceled his European shows, and the BBC banned him from future programs. American outlets, wary of controversy, stopped inviting him to perform or speak. The same artist who had been hailed as the voice of a new Caribbean generation was now treated like an outcast. For Shabba Ranks, it was more than just losing bookings. It was watching the bridge he built between Jamaica and the world collapse overnight. In later interviews, Shabba tried to clarify his position. He explained that his words were not meant as hatred, but came from his Christian beliefs and the moral codes he was raised with in Jamaica. Yet the damage was already done. The media didn't want nuance. They wanted distance. Western music executives, fearing backlash, quietly pulled support from dancehall acts with controversial lyrics. The incident even sparked broader criticism of the entire genre, with Shabba Ranks becoming the face of that cultural clash. His once bright mainstream career dimmed, and though he continued to perform and record, his visibility outside Jamaica dropped sharply. Some saw it as a tragedy, a man punished for cultural differences, while others viewed it as accountability for hurtful words. Either way, Shabba's international momentum was gone. But in Jamaica, his throne remained untouched. He returned home to roaring crowds who still saw him as a hero, a man who stood firm in his beliefs and refused to bow to foreign pressure. He recorded new songs, toured the Caribbean, and stayed connected to his roots. Despite being silenced abroad, his influence only deepened in the local scene. The controversy that nearly destroyed him in one world solidified him in another. Over time, as society changed and new generations emerged, the anger faded, replaced by respect for his undeniable impact on music. The same dembow rhythm that once fueled his Jamaican anthem became the heartbeat of global reggaeton, with artists like Daddy Yankee and Bad Bunny unknowingly echoing Shabba's legacy decades later. Today, Shabba Ranks remains one of dancehall's most important and complicated figures. His story is not just about fame or scandal. It's about culture, pride, and the cost of authenticity. He showed the world that a Jamaican artist could conquer global charts while staying true to his voice. But he also showed how easily words, once spoken, can tear down what took years to build. In interviews from the 2000s onward, Shabba has spoken with humility about that period, admitting that he learned from it, even if he still stands by his faith. He often says he is grateful that people still remember his contribution and that he wants younger artists to understand both the power and the responsibility that come with a microphone. His influence can be heard in almost every modern dancehall artist, in the commanding delivery of voices like Bounty Killer and the stage confidence of Beanie Man Shabba's journey from the zinc-roofed yards of Kingston to Grammy stages, from world tours to canceled contracts, is one of resilience and raw truth. Even in controversy, he never lost his identity. He remained Shabba Ranks, the Emperor. And that's why, decades later, when his deep voice shouts his signature Shabba across a track, it still carries the weight of history. His story reminds us that success doesn't always end with applause. Sometimes it ends with lessons. Lessons about pride, culture, and the irreversible power of words. Shabba Ranks paid the price for his, but he also carved a legacy that no controversy could erase. He remains a symbol of dancehall strength, its flaws, and its fearless authenticity. A man who fell hard but never faded, whose voice still echoes in every beat that dares to call itself dancehall. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more untold story from the music world.